السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If there is anybody who is logged on and able to confirm that the voice is clear, that would be nice. Okay, jazakumullah khair. All right, inshallah, we'll begin in a minute or two. Looks like a few people are still joining in, so inshallah. Until then, hopefully all of you have had a good weekend. You're able to replenish whatever needs, went to the grocery store, refill your toilet paper, whatnot. Alhamdulillah, over the weekend, there were a lot of people that were able to join on the online lectures. MashaAllah, one of the, I guess, silver lining on the cloud that is above us is over the weekend we had, various scholars throughout the country who were holding their own programs. And MashaAllah, we were able to tune in and listen to multiple scholars, which I think is a blessing, MashaAllah, because, I think yesterday, on Sunday, alhamdulillah, I was able to connect online up to, I believe, 7 or 8 scholars, so which is a large list. You can never really listen to, so many scholars in a single day. All right. Wa alaikum assalam. Okay, inshallah. So I think we will go ahead and begin. And whoever, inshallah, will join, will follow us from where we start. So, the story that I want to talk about today is actually a very interesting story. And the way that we're going to do this today is we're going to play out a scenario, which is going to be a made-up scenario. And then we are going to then segue into the real story. And when you play it out in this way, in this scenario, it almost gives us a personal touch. So imagine your parents, your parents, the one who gave birth to you. Before you were born, they were, pardon the background, I think if you can hear that, my child is having a little tantrum, but you can ignore that. So imagine that your parents were, they met each other, they got married, and they're starting their life. And this is, like I said, before you were born. And there was a very generous owner, and he said, you can live in my house. And you can live in my house for free. You don't have to pay any rent. You don't have to cook, clean, do anything. I am also going to provide you daily meals. And the house is not just any kind of house. It's a very, very, it's a mansion. It's got a beautiful garden in the back, and there's fountains in the back, and it's a very beautiful house. So everything is taken care for them. And the owner says, just gives them one condition. He says, no matter what you do, there's this back section of the house. I don't want you to go there. That's the only condition. You are not supposed to go to that back section of the house. That's beyond limits. And whatever you want to do over here in this house, you can do. You could, if you want to hang a picture, go to hang a ayah if you want to do that. If you want to do some, add a new bedroom, do whatever you want. But that back portion of the house, don't touch it. I say, okay, why would we want to do that? MashaAllah, we got such a great house. We got everything that we need. So we don't really need to, even look there, bother. And life's going on. They're eating, they're drinking, they're having a great time. And one day, they get a knock on the door. and there's this guy who comes in, looks very, very, he's suited up and looks very professional, let's just say. And he says, I am, so and so coming from the village of so and I'd like to make you guys an offer. And I'm going to update your whole house. And I'm going to give you an upgrade of all the things that you're eating. I'm going to do all of that. And he gives them like multiple deals. You know how you sometimes see these people, they come in and they get kind of sort of give you multiple deals that almost sound unreal. You won a cruise to the Caribbean, although probably nobody wants to go on a cruise now. But something like that. And your parents are very innocent. They're really, really, people who are not, let's just say they're not too street smart. And this guy is able to convince them. He says, I'm going to do all of that, but the way that I have to do that is I need access to that bedroom in the back or that area that is closed for them. I need access to that in order to update your house. So they initially say, no. Our owner said that you can't do that. But then he kind of convinces them and he says, no, the owner only said that because of X, Y, and Z. You're still allowed to do it. Trust me, your owner is going to be really happy if you do that. So just let me go back and let me fix everything. And then initially they say no, and then finally they kind of give in. He's really smart and slick with his words, so he convinces them, and they let him in the back. As soon as they do that, the owner, he comes back. And he says, did we not have a deal? Weren't you not supposed to go beyond that? I gave you this entire whole house, and I was taking care of your food and your drink and your health and whatever you needed. And all I told you was not to go to that side, but you didn't listen to me. And as soon as he says that, the other guy, the trickster, he starts laughing. He says, ha, gotcha. I tricked you guys. And now your parents are completely disappointed. They're like, oh my God, we thought you are our friend. And now he's just sort of said, nope, I got you into trouble. And then now they're basically being kicked out of the house. And as they're being kicked out of the house, to add insult to injury, they are taken away from all their belongings, including their clothes. So they literally have to hide themselves with whatever they can find and go out on the street that way. Now, this is an imaginary scenario that I've created. So this obviously, I want you to think about this person, right? This trickster. If this is a true scenario and you actually meet this person, what would you say? What would be your feelings towards this person? You would not want to do anything with him. As a matter of fact, if you see him, you would want to beat him up, because he's a person who basically tricked your parents, got them into trouble, literally got their clothes stripped off their backs, and just had them go out the street, right? Would you be interested in having to do anything with this person? No. You would say, I hate that person. If I ever find him, I'm going to make sure he pays for it. Now, some of you might have guessed this already. The scenario that I'm talking about is actually a true scenario. Now, it happened a little differently, but it did happen to our parents. And it happened to our real parents, not necessarily our birth parents, but our true great, keep on going until how many ever generations, grandparents. Who's that? Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayhi salam, right? This is something that actually took place. And I'm sure most of us are familiar with the story. It took place in a different scenario. As we go back to the story, Adam alayhi salam is created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he is made from clay. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells, and the angels, they ask a question. As soon as that happens, the angels, they ask a question. They say, oh Allah, why did you create this person made of clay when we are here and we're worshiping you? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells them, I know what you don't know. I know what you don't know. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he teaches Adam alayhi salam the names of all the things. And then he asks the angels and he says, now name these things for me. And none of them are able to name it because they don't know. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala since he had already taught that to Adam alayhi salam, he asks Adam alayhi salam, and Adam alayhi salam is able to tell the names of all these things. So immediately the superiority of Adam alayhi salam is established. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the angels to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks the angels to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam. And all of them do so except illa Iblis. Now this is the person that was similar to that trickster in the story that we were talking about. Now Iblis does not prostrate to Adam alayhi salam. He completely denies and completely belies the direct order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, why aren't you doing that? I gave you a direct command. Now you can imagine the gall of this person, right? He is conversing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yani he knows that he is in front of the Lord of the worlds and there is no way that he can defeat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan. In spite of that, he has the audacity to say, Ana khayrum minhu. I'm not going to prostrate to him because I am better than Adam. Khalaqtani min nar wa khalaqtahu min teen. You created me from fire and you created him from clay. And in Iblis's mind, fire was better than clay. So therefore, he is not going to prostrate. Then what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says? Allah fakhruj. Get out of here. فَاخْرُجْ مِنْهَا فَإِنَّكَ رَجِيمٌ وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكَ اللَّعْنَةَ إِلَى يَوْمِ الدِّينِ. You are a rajim. You are a cursed person. And you will have that curse onto you till the day of judgment. Then Iblis, he asks for a deal. He says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, give me a chance. He says, قَالَ رَبِّي فَأَنْزِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. Give me a chance until the day of judgment, until these people are raised up again. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَالَ فَإِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. Okay, you're given that chance. Then he makes a promise. And this is what I want you guys to really listen to, right? He makes a promise. He says, قَالَ رَبِّي بِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي لَأُزَيِّنَنَّ لَهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. He says, oh Allah, because you misled me. Now look at him. He's blaming Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, oh Allah, oh my Lord, because you misled me, I will make the earth really attractive for them and I will mislead them from your path. So he's making a promise that he is going to now be a sworn enemy to the children of Adam alayhi salam, that is us, and he is going to mislead us, right? And he is going to tempt us with whatever that he can tempt us, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked us to do. His job is to tempt us not to do. And whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do, Shaitan's job is to tempt us to do. So that's basically his goal in his life. Okay, fast forward, Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayhi salam are now living in Jannah. They're eating of the fruits of Jannah and they're drinking of the various fountains and whatnot. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again gives them a condition. You know the condition? Do not go near this tree. Do not go even near this tree. Forget about eating from this tree. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells them, do not even go near this tree. وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ. Then they say, okay, of course they're not going to do that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded them not to do that. And of course, the Jannah is huge. They're going to go up and they can eat from any other tree they want to. But then the shaitan comes again. The shaitan now comes and now he has the ability to whisper to them, to talk to them, to inspire them. And he now starts putting thoughts in their mind. He says, listen, you should eat from that tree. The only reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told you not to eat from that tree is because if you eat from that tree, you're going to become angels. And if you become angels, angels are better than human beings. Whatever slick things that he came up with, whatever stuff that he was able to make up in front of them, he did so. And when he did that, they finally got convinced. And what did they do? They ended up eating from that tree. As soon as they ended up eating from that tree, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called them. Says, did I not tell you not to eat from that tree? Did I tell you not? You had the entire Jannah, just that tree, but you ate from that tree. And immediately they became remorseful. they realized that shaitan tricked them. They immediately realized shaitan tricked them. And now they had to face the punishment. The punishment was that they were going to be kicked out of Jannah along with the shaitan. Everybody now had to go down to the earth. But there is a good ending to the story. Even though the shaitan played such a dirty trick on them, Adam alayhi salam immediately repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught him certain words, and Adam alayhi salam was already full of remorse. He says, رَبَّنَا زَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا وَتَرْحَمْنَا لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. Oh Allah, if you don't, we have wronged ourselves. And if you don't forgive us, we will be amongst the losers. So you notice the difference between the mistake of Iblis and the mistake of Adam alayhi salam. The mistake of Iblis, he said, oh Allah, you misled me. Adam alayhi salam owned it. He took responsibility. He immediately took responsibility of the sin that he did. He didn't blame shaitan. He could have made a very valid argument. He said, oh Allah, shaitan tricked me. I was completely not thinking about it. He tricked me. He didn't say any of that. He said, oh Allah, I take responsibility. It was my fault. You told me not to do it. I ate it. I completely am 100% responsible. I just ask you for your forgiveness. So a big lesson for us, when we ask for forgiveness, and in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously, even when we make a mistake in front of someone else, one of the things that people do is they say, oh, I'm sorry, but, such and such and such and such. So that, when the apology comes in that fashion, people can sometimes, look through the apology, and they can potentially think that this person is not sincere in their apology. So whenever we offer an apology, it should be unconditional. We say, okay, listen, I messed up, I made a mistake, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, mom, I'm sorry, dad, I'm sorry, spouse, whoever it is. So that's the first lesson. Now, remember when we were talking about the story and we said, would you want to befriend a person who really tricked your parents, who insulted them, who got them out of their house? We would say, no, we hate that person. But unfortunately, sometimes what happens is we as human beings and we as Muslims, in spite of the fact that we know shaitan is our clear enemy, he's the enemy who swore that he's going to misguide us, we end up befriending him. Maybe not directly, but somehow indirectly. Now, we would never think about that. Say, if you were to see the shaitan over here, we would say, get out of here, right? We would say, we don't want anything to do with you. But the shaitan doesn't come that way. He doesn't come in the form of a man or in the form of a person, because then you recognize and that's the shaitan. Now, he's a clear and open enemy. We know that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in the Quran. He is a clear enemy to you. Aduwwun mubin. Right? His job is to get you into trouble. His job is to get you into trouble, and his job is to get you into Jahannam. And he's sworn. He basically said, I'm going to, in the Quran it says, he says, I'm going to come from the top, from every, from the left, from the right, from the all sides, from the front, from the back, and I'm going to misguide these people. And the other thing about the shaitan is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that he can see you, he and his qabil, his qabila, his henchmen, they can see you from a place that you can't see them, because Allah, jinns, they're there, they're invisible, and they can see us, but we can't see them. As a matter of fact, they might be even, around us, seeing this and saying, oh my God, they're probably saying, oh, this guy's like giving out our secrets. So they can see us, but we can't. So that kind of gives them advantage. But how do they misguide us? They misguide us by a way called waswasa. Now, they're not able to speak to us directly, but they're able to whisper to us. And it's not going to be like a whisper that, one of us whispers to the other. You go to someone's ear and you say, something. That's not the way. The way the whisper of the shaitan works is it gets inspired inside of you. And you feel that, that you're thinking that. But the shaitan is the one who's doing that. For example, your mom told you to do homework on the computer, right? And you're doing your homework, or you're doing your Quran, or whatever it is that you're doing. And then the shaitan says, hey, let's watch that cartoon, or let's check the game score, or let's go on that website that we're not supposed to go, right? That's the shaitan. Or you're supposed to do something. It's the time for salah, for example. Oh, there's lots of time. It's just 1:30. Zohar has like 4 more hours left. Oh, there are 3 more hours left. Oh, there are like 1 hour left. Oh, there's half hour left. I can just finish this little thing, my game, and then I can go back to my salah. That's a shaitan. And pretty soon you realize, oh my God, I just have 5 minutes left. And then now you're, trying to just make up the salah really quickly. So the shaitan, he whispers. He comes to you and he whispers. It's not open. It's not clearly like a person walks up to you and says something. So that's what the shaitan does. And the shaitan is very smart. He uses like different methods for different people, right? For the person who is easily, he can misguide easily to, drink wine and, do bad things. He'll do that. But a person, for example, he's already pious, right? Say a person prays 5 times a day, a person's praying tahajjud, a person is fasting. He's doing all that he's supposed to do. Now the shaitan attacks him in a different way. He goes to him and he says, no, mashallah, you are such a great guy. And you start talking to yourself like, yeah, you know what, I am. Mashallah, I woke up at tahajjud today and I fasted today and I prayed all my prayers. I'm really awesome. And look at that guy. That guy doesn't come to the masjid, he doesn't have a beard, he lies, he cheats. Look at him. And look at me. Now he starts creating this pride inside of you, right? Pride was shaitan's first problem. And that's what he wants you to do, is become proud. So shaitan tries to whisper these things inside of us, and he uses different tricks for different people. And his favorite pastime is to make people fight. That's his favorite pastime. He loves it when Muslims fight. He loves it when brothers and sisters fight. He loves it when one brother is angry with another brother. That's his full-time job. We see the hadith that shaitan, he's on his throne. He has his throne on the water, and then he sends his henchmen all over the world to do all, to basically cause all kinds of, misguidance throughout the earth. And then his henchmen come back, and then one of them says, I did this bad thing. He says, oh, you didn't do anything. And then another one says, I did this bad thing. He says, no, you didn't do anything. Finally, someone comes back and he says, I created a fight between a husband and a wife. I created a fight between a husband and a wife. Then he gets up and he gives that shaitan a big hug. He said, good, you're the one who did the right thing. You're the one who did something really good. So shaitan wants us to fight. Because when we fight, we're angry. And when we're angry, we're going to do bad things. And we do bad things, we're not able to do good things. And unless, we start doing things that are against the Sharia, against the deen. And then finally, what he's going to do on the Day of Judgment, when all of this is going to happen, he's going to disown us. He's going to disown us, right? On the Day of Judgment, he's going to say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised you goodness, and I promised you, all bad things. And I didn't have any power over you. I gave you dawah. I just basically gave you a whisper and advice, and you followed me. So don't blame me. Blame yourself. وَلَا تَلُومُونِي. No, don't blame me. Just blame yourself. So that's the kind of evil person the shaitan is. Now, the question is, how do we protect ourselves from the shaitan? That's the big question, right? Because we know this guy is an open enemy. We know what he did to our great-great-grandparents. And we know that this guy is out to get us. And it's also scary because he can see us, we can't see him. He can whisper in our ears, and we don't even know he's whispering. So it might appear that he has a lot of power. But the reality is, it's not that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called the shaitan weak. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling the shaitan weak, then we don't have to worry. The shaitan and his plots are not strong at all. They're very easy to deal with, provided a person knows how to do that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna kayda shaytana kana da'ifa. Say shaitan's plots and his planning are very, very weak. They're very weak. As long as a person is able to fortify himself, able to create a barrier around himself, the shaitan isn't going to be able to harm them. And the shaitan himself says, when he makes a promise, oh Allah, I'm going to misguide them, he himself says, Illa ibadaka minhumul mukhlasin. I am going to mislead them all except your chosen slaves. Now, what we have to do is we have to make sure that we come into the category of the chosen slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, how are we able to do that? The number one thing that the shaitan hates, he just cannot stand, is the zikr of Allah. The shaitan absolutely cannot stand the zikr of Allah. If you say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, he has to run away. If somebody gives the adhan, it comes with the hadith. He goes away and he actually does something funny. He actually passes wind while he's running away. So the shaitan cannot stand the zikr of Allah. If anybody starts doing the zikr of Allah, that's it. The shaitan is out. وَإِمَّا يَنْزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. When the shaitan, as soon as a thought from the shaitan comes, a person should seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the shaitan. So that is something that will keep the shaitan away. The second thing that the shaitan does is he makes us fear. He makes us fear of poverty. He makes us fear of, okay, if I do good, I'm really not going to be rewarded. Or rather, I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose. If I take interest, I'm going to get money. If I don't do interest, I'm not going to make enough money. Or if I pray, I might even lose my job. If I go to pray Jummah Salah, I'm going to lose so much money and I'm going to lose my job. I'd rather just, do this. So the idea of the shaitan is to basically make you fear. الشيطان يعدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء والله يعدكم مغفرة منهم وفضلا. The shaitan, his goal is he orders us or he makes us fearful of poverty and he orders us to do bad things, indecent things. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is promising us forgiveness. So our job is not to fear the thoughts that the thoughts that the shaitan puts in our brain. Okay, the last thing that the shaitan does is that he wants us to be unthankful. Because the shaitan says, again, when he makes that promise, oh Allah, I'm going to come and I'm going to attack them from the front, from the back, from the sides, every place. And you are not, then he says, وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. You are not going to find many of them thankful. One of the biggest ways of befriending shaitan is being unthankful to the blessings and the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with many, many ni'mah. I was just speaking to my dad and he was telling me how people in other countries, they don't even have food to eat. They don't even have food to eat because of the coronavirus. Now there's almost a global shutdown in poor countries where people go out to earn and they will not get, over here in America, they're talking about giving every family like thousands of dollars, right? Because they have the money to be able to do that. Poor countries don't have the money to do that. People either they work and eat or they starve. And now because of the lockdown, they're not able to go out. So there are people who don't even have food and water right now. So if you're now unthankful of the situation that we're in, like, oh, we can't even go out or we can't even have fun, whatever, you have to remember, alhamdulillah, we are able to order at least food from, Instacart or Amazon or whatever it is, sitting at home. Alhamdulillah, we have food. There are people that don't even have food to eat. So we have to look at that and never be unthankful of any situation that we're in. We always have to say alhamdulillah. We always have to say alhamdulillah. So the things that we have to do to protect ourselves from the shaitan is number one, zikr. The zikr of Allah will drive the shaitan away. And the opposite is true. If a person is unmindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I will appoint on him a qareen, a shaitan. He's going to be his companion. And this shaitan is now constantly going to misguide a person. And then number one is zikr. Number two is you shouldn't fear poverty. You shouldn't be acceptful of the whispers of the shaitan to do bad things. And thirdly, and finally, is never be unthankful. Now finally, I'm going to end with this. This is a very, very interesting and nice story that happens to Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala. This is from the hadith. It's in a Sahih hadith in Bukhari. So one time, Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu is appointed by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to guard over a certain treasure. You wouldn't call it a treasure, but basically, the Muslims collect in Baitul Mal some food, some sadaqah, and Abu Hurairah's job is to guard this pile of food and this pile of treasure or whatever wealth that was collected. His job is to guard that. So one night, as he's resting over there guarding that place, there's a person that comes in, and from the corner he starts taking some of the food and some of the provisions from over there. Abu Hurairah catches him red-handed, and he says, "I caught you. I'm going to take you to Rasulullah." He says, no, please don't do that. I'm a very poor man, and I'm in such a bad situation, and I have dependents, and I have to take food for them. Please forgive me. Please, I won't do this again. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he has mercy on him. He says, okay, go. Don't do this again. The next morning, the Prophet ﷺ already knows about this. And he says, oh, Abu Hurairah, what did your prisoner say to you last night? What did that person say to you last night? He said, oh, Rasulullah, he said that he promised, he told me about his bad situation, and he said he's not going to come again. Then Prophet ﷺ tells him, he lied. He's going to come in tonight. And Abu Hurairah is surprised. He's shocked. He's like, okay, he's going to come in tonight. I'm going to wait for him. So he goes back there, and this night he knows, because Prophet ﷺ already mentioned to him that he's going to come back. So now he's waiting for him. And then he comes back again. And he's doing the same thing, starting to take the food from the side. He catches him again. You again? I told you not to come back. I thought I told you last night not to come back. He says the same thing again. Oh, come on, Abu Hurairah, please. Let me go. I'm so poor. I don't have food. My dependents. I got children. I got to feed them, etc., etc. Now, the Sahaba were very, very gentle-hearted people, right? He said, okay, I'll have mercy on you, but do not come again tomorrow. Final warning. Do not come again tomorrow. And guess what happens? He's back again the next day. Well, actually, the next day, Abu Hurairah goes to Prophet ﷺ. Prophet ﷺ asks again, what did your prisoner say again? He said, Ya Rasulullah. He said, again, he told me how, what a difficult situation he's in. And he told me that he's not going to come tomorrow. Prophet ﷺ says, nope, he lied. He's going to come tomorrow again. He's going to come tomorrow or tonight again. So Abu Hurairah now is again ready for him. All right, this time I'm going to catch him. I'm going to chain him and I'm going to take him to Rasulullah. There's no mercy this time. So at night comes, the person comes in again, starting to steal the food again. Then this time Abu Hurairah catches him. Abu Hurairah catches him, says, now nothing doing. I don't care what you say. I'm taking you to the Prophet. He says, okay, look, let me have a deal with you. I'm going to tell you a secret. If you let me go, I'll tell you the secret, and with this secret, you will be protected from the shaitan. And the Prophet, the Sahaba, they always want to do good, right? And as soon as Abu Hurairah said, okay, go ahead and tell me what your secret is. He says, if you recite the Ayat al-Kursi, Allahu la ilaha illallah, all the way to Azim, Aliyul Azim. If you recite it any night, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will appoint a guard over you. And the shaitan will not be able to harm you that night. He will not be able to come to you at all that night. So that is something, if you do, you will be safe. Then Abu Hurairah gets very happy. He lets him go. The next morning, he goes to Prophet ﷺ. Prophet ﷺ says, what happened last night? Tell me what happened with your prisoner. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I let him go again this time. But this time, he gave me certain words. He gave me an advice that if you read the Ayat al-Kursi at night, the shaitan will not be able to harm you. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, he was a liar. He's a liar, but he spoke the truth. He is a liar, but he spoke the truth. The Prophet ﷺ then informed Abu Hurairah, do you know who that was? He was the shaitan himself. So that was the shaitan trying to trick Abu Hurairah. And while he was doing that, he gave out a big secret about himself, because he didn't want to be faced and be a prisoner to the Prophet ﷺ. The big trick, or the big weapon that he gave us, inadvertently you could say, is he told us the secret of what keeps them away from us at night. So one of the things that we should make a complete habit of every time before you go to sleep, without fail, one thing we should do is we should recite Ayat al-Kursi. If you don't remember it, we can ask our parents and they can inshallah help us recite it. But this is a beautiful way to protect ourselves from the shaitan. So it went over a little bit because we started a little bit late, but to remember, we would never want to be the friends of the shaitan under any circumstance, because that is a friendship of loss. He's going to trick us. He's going to promise us a lot of things, but he's just going to ditch us in the end. Just like he did that to our parents. And Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayhi salam, they are like our great grandparents, And we love them. We definitely love them. Inshallah, we'll meet them in Jannah. But if he did something like that to our parents, our true great-grandparents, we would never want to associate at all with them. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the shaitan day in and day out. May He subhanahu wa ta'ala always give us the tawfiq to do zikr so that the shaitan is away from us. May He subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to read Ayat al-Kursi before night. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to be thankful to Him. Never fear the poverty that the shaitan threatens with, and always believe in the promise of Allah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Jazakumullah khair. Hello. Inshallah, we will Sorry about that. Hassan, say salam to people.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, we will inshallah meet again tomorrow. And assalamu alaikum.